This is Laelia fulfuracea. She is a miniature orchid. She falls under the category of cool to intermediate, tolerating temperatures down to 8 degrees Celsius and up to 25 degrees Celsius. Ideally no higher than that, so she needs some protection against the heat of my Spanish summers, which she gets on the lower shelf located under the portico. This is where she used to get bright shade and a cooler breeze because of the lacquer tray underneath that has water in it during the summer months, which evaporates, providing more humidity than elsewhere on the patio and creates a little microclimate down there. Now she arrived on the patio from Africa in July of 2021, and I bought her because of her low temperature tolerance, which makes her an ideal candidate for growing outdoors all year round in my climate. While there is not much information about her care online, I did find one interesting nugget of intel, and that is she loves a setup that doesn't ever dry out completely. So into the semi-hydro setup that I have for many of my miniature outdoor orchids she went. I think, however, that going with a 50% akadama and 50% grit ratio was a little too much moisture, because while over the years she has been trying to grow, she is not happy in this setup, as she has a new root growing, and despite my hesitation to growing her mounted because of my super dry and hot conditions here for the most part, I think that the time to experiment with her in a semi-hydro setup and lava rock only is going to be too risky. She's not one of those that is generous with her root growth, so the single root is precious because I'm not sure what to expect in the pot. The roots we can see outside, they don't feel viable, so time to get her on a mount and then hope for the best. I would be upset if I lost her, because as per what I can see on the internet, she has a pretty baby pink lavender lilac colored bloom, and apparently she is fragrant, which I hope we can one day experience. So thinking positively, let's do this simple mounting project and give her the Mexico vibes, because that is where she grows naturally. There's a little hope I carry into mounting her, and that is she prefers a prolonged drier winter rest, so now is the time to get her mounted, and then I will cross the bridge when it comes to her watering needs in the coming summer. She has always grown new growth reliably, but the roots never developed well. This time though, I figured she was stressed because while she grew and matured a new growth without it aborting, it is much smaller than it should be, and she tried with a second new growth which went brown and failed, and now she is trying yet another new growth, and spoiler alert, that one also failed. Not because I broke it, but it behaved the same way as the other growth that failed. I was not certain on how the roots are in the pot, even though her pseudobulbs look to be okay, and they look much worse than a year ago. I am still reluctant to give her the calcium nitrate in a higher concentration. Same with the CalMag, because I could see salt buildup on the surface of the pot. Again, the new roots not performing, and well, I hope that is the only reason that now the growths have failed, the lack of calcium. And because I feel as though she has some roots in the pot, the pseudobulbs aren't that shriveled, I may have just used some old ones for anchoring, so I'm just going to keep her tilted like this and excavate her out of the pot. So I got this mount from an orchid that was previously on it, the Oncidessa Sweet Sugar that I got from Insa Orchids and ADD. However, that orchid had the tiny scale on it, and while I felt as though I was on top of it, I had been fighting for this orchid for the past 15 months and did not want to have it in the indoor winter holding space, knowing that that tiny scale is toxic to struggling orchids, and I can't have that in the growth space. So that orchid is no more on the patio. Anyway, I disinfected this mount by pouring boiling hot water over it on all sides again and again and again, probably like 4 times for every single side. Now, I'm hoping that there are no tiny scale remnants left on the mount. It will just be a question of keeping a close eye on all of this moving forward. Please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up. I totally appreciate the support, and subscribe to the channel for content like this that has already been posted and future updates, and consider yourself welcome. Thank you so much. I would love to get this orchid higher on the mount, more in the middle, but the crack of the mount is an ideal nook and cranny for the roots to grow into. This way, I do not have to worry about the new root tip being crushed by the mount if I were to position the orchid higher. So while this is not ideal, I hope that by having that crack right underneath the orchid that I can encourage higher humidity when the water pools in there in the future, and it works right now to avoid losing that single root. I figured that if push comes to shove and the orchid does bounce back and start to grow well, all I have to do is turn the mount around and position the hook at the space, which is now the bottom of the mount, and flip it, so to speak. And then of course, seeing as this orchid has shown me that it is trying to grow from multiple directions, I have hope that any future growths might go up, or at this point in time wherever they want to, because right now I am in no position to be picky. Also, putting her here, it is quite ideal because there are already holes pre-drilled where the other orchid was already, which then only required a single wire to feed through them and tie the orchid down with. Needless to say, it was quite the fiddle doing this, but I am glad to have at least done it despite having been so hesitant. Now, for the winter months, she's going to hang facing south, but so low that she doesn't get any direct sunlight. Not for now anyway. She is too weak to be exposed to what she could handle as a mature orchid. So baby steps, a reset, bright shade, the right temperature, and very careful misting of the mount around her. And of course, that hob filter material that I glued to cover that one root that I found to be somewhat viable. Hopefully, it does the trick. And only time will tell. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video of the recent mounting project of my Laelia fulvuracea. I do appreciate so much that you clicked on it. Thank you. And last but not least, I wish you a wonderful day. On the condition though, please, that you stay safe. Take care. Bye.